again.
We are. We're the Horror Guys. I'm Brian.
And I'm Kevin.
And believe it or not, we've got more horror for you.
No.
Old horror, new horror, and some in between.
All the horror.
Actually, most of the ones this time are kind of on the older side.
Okay.
Dare I say classics?
Well,
some of them.
Some of them, yeah.
Some of them are classics. Some of them are just kind of forgotten.
And some of them are destined to be classics.
Okay,
we don't,
yeah,
we don't have that many. But yeah.
All right, so this week we will be watching Ringu from 1998.
That's a Japanese movie.
Yes, it certainly is. It was subtitled?
Yes, it was.
Yes,
We watched a subtitled version. There is a dubbed version out there.
Is there?
Yeah.
That's sad.
No. And then we watched the American remake, The Ring.
From 2002. You know, that's 4 years from being a success in Japan to being fully remade and released over here. That's pretty fast.
They do that a lot, though. They do the remakes, the American remakes.
I don't know what the difference was between the two Grudge movies, but it's a very similar kind of thing.
I think those were pretty close, too.
Yeah. Then we'll also watch the werewolf film, Bad Moon, from 1996. Not Bad Mood. I almost said Bad Mood, but it's Bad Moon.
One of the Hemingway sisters were in that, I believe.
He's the one who wrote all those books in the Florida Keys?
Yep, and he has some granddaughters who are actresses.
Oh, they are related, aren't they?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, they are. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought you were making a joke.
No, it's Mariel Hemingway. Or, is Mariel? Yes, Mariel's the one in this one, yes.
There's other ones?
Yeah, Margot Hemingway. Isn't it Margot?
Well, that sounds familiar. She was not as big a star.
Yeah, there's another sister.
Mariel was in lots of things at one point.
Yeah, Mariel has done a lot more. I think there's another sister. I think her name is Margot.
Maybe.
I will look that up.
Well, you're looking that up. Yeah. We're also going to watch our final film.
Margot. Yes. It's Margaux, though. Not G-O.
Margaux?
Not G-O-T, yes. And she's more of a model than actress.
Margaux?
Where Mariel...
I would have to say it like
Mariel has been more of an actress than a model.
Okay.
They kind of... They've both done both, but yeah.
Okay. And our final film for this week is The House of Long Shadows from 1983, which has a better cast list than story, I will tell you right now. All right, well, check out our books, horrorguys.com/books. We've got at least 7 of them to entertain you on your spare time when you're not listening to us. We've got Tales to Make You Shiver, Volume 1 and Volume 2. Each one has 13 scary stories. Scary short stories. A sextet of strange stagings. 6 surprising scripts. If you're into plays at all, there's a book of 6 different plays you can do. And, of course, our nonfiction books. The Horror Guy's Guide to Universal Studios Shock Theater. The Horror Guy's Guide to Universal Studios Son of Shock. About all those classic Universal horror movies that we all love. The Horror Guy's Guide to Hammer horror films. Mostly our favorite color films from the 50s and 60s, and a few from the 70s. And, of course, the silent age of horror, the ones from the 1910s, 20s, and maybe even later.
I recommend you collect all the books.
I do, too. Yes, they're excellent.
Yes.
I do say so myself.
And we do.
And we do, yes. All right, our first movie up this week is...
Ringu.
Ringu, R-I-N-G-U, 1998. Subtitle, Japanese. Directed by Hideo Nakata. Written by Hiroshi Takahashi and Koji Suzuki. Stars Nanako Matsushima, Miki Nakatani, Yuko Takeuchi. Hour and 35 minutes. I keep wanting to think it's black and white, and it's not. It's a modern color movie.
Yes, it is. Did you like it?
You know, I thought when we signed up for these two this week, I thought I had seen them both. I think I was confusing them with The Grudge, because I don't believe I've ever seen Ringu before.
I never had. This was my
thought
first.
I did, but
I had seen The Ring before.
Yeah, I've seen The
Ring
before.
But not Ringu.
Right.
Yeah.
So this was the first time for both of us with Ringu. And it's all right. I liked their color. Color. I'm still thinking black and white.
Yeah.
I like the English remake a lot better, I think.
Yeah, I think I did too.
But I did see that one first, so I'm influenced.
Yeah.
All right, well, two girls, Masami, explains to her friend Tomoko that a boy went to a strange place and recorded a show on a non-working TV channel. Remember back when you could record TV channels?
I remember that.
Remember back when we had TV channels?
I remember that, yeah.
Turn it to channel 13 and get static.
You turn the knob, and sometimes there would be, nothing would come in sometimes. Yeah.
We were watching a different movie yesterday, and there was this little kid that she had to explain to him what a VCR was.
Mm-hmm.
What is that? It's like a DVD. Well, there was a woman in the show who pointed at the boy and claimed, "You will die in 1 week," on the videotape. The phone then rang, and a voice said, "You saw it." Then the boy died in 1 week, just like the TV said. Tomoko doesn't think the story is funny at all, and Tomoko explains that the exact same thing happened to them on their trip last week. Actually, today will be 1 week since that happened. The phone rings, and Tomoko starts looking very scared. Turns out it's just Mom. Masami leaves to go to the bathroom, and then the TV in the next room comes on all by itself. Something then comes up behind her. Dun dun dun.
And that's the end of her.
Yep. Before long, everyone has heard the story about the haunted video. It's become sort of a viral story where everyone knows someone who died from the video. Everyone says the video aired and started in the Izu Peninsula. Don't go there. Reiko, a reporter, is following up on the story, and she soon learns that some of those people really have died.
And it's been like a week. She gradually pieces it together.
Yep.
Yeah.
She goes to Tomoko's funeral, and no one knows exactly how she died, but it was a closed casket funeral, so it wasn't pretty. Turns out several people were with Tomoko when she saw that video, and they all died on the same night. Reiko's son, Yoichi, used to play in Tomoko's room all the time, but he's not allowed in there now. Tomoko's mother explains that she found her dead daughter in the closet with a frozen scream on her face. She goes to pick up some of Tomoko's undeveloped photos, and all the children who died have smudged faces in the photos. Yoichi tells his mother that he watched the cursed video too.
Uh-oh. Doomed.
Yeah, you don't leave loaded guns around for the kids to play with, but
begins.
Videotapes are usually okay.
Well, this was before she really knew what it was and knew how dangerous it was.
Reiko goes to the cabin in Izu where the story with the videotape began. She talks to the manager, who has a whole collection of videotapes, but only one of them is unlabeled. "Someone must have left it," he says. Reiko takes it to watch. It shows a dark circle with a woman brushing her hair, people crawling around backward, the word eruption, a man with a towel over his head, and a well. The image of the well breaks into static, and Reiko sees someone standing behind her, who is gone when she looks again. The phone rings, and there's a weird buzzing. Reiko looks at the clock. 1 week. And in both the Ring movies, the phone is supposed to say, "You saw it." And the phone never says anything in either movie.
No.
Not really.
Or says, you're going to die in a week. Or,
No, nothing. No one says anything on the phone.
No.
It's just weird sounds.
Yeah. Noises.
She gets a friend, Ryuji, to take her photo, and yep, it comes out blurry. He thinks maybe he can track down whoever made the film, but he soon starts seeing things. Reiko gives Ryuji a copy of the video. He plays it in slow motion, and the two discuss what they see. They find a record of a long time ago where a woman predicted an eruption on a desert island. The woman in the video, Shizuku, is the one who predicted the eruption. The volcano said terrible things about her, and she threw herself into the volcano afterwards.
I don't think that's right.
I think that's the villagers.
the villagers
said terrible things
about her.
And she committed suicide by throwing herself into the volcano.
Yeah, basically they accused her of being a witch.
Yeah. That night, she was up to find little Yoichi has watched the videotape also. He says Tomoko told him to watch it. So, yeah. Doomed. They go out to the island where the volcano erupted so long ago. Shizuku's cousin is still alive, and she may have had a daughter. Shizuku could read minds, and Ryuji can do the same. Someone died during one of Shizuku's psychic demonstrations, and she blamed Sadako, her secret daughter. There's a typhoon coming, and they're trapped on the island that night. Coincidental, huh? But Sadako's grandfather says he'll take them in a boat to the mainland. Ryuji and Reiko go to the cabin where this all started. They crawl under the house, and Ryuji gets a psychic flashback to Shizuko's father, whacking her over the head with a shovel and pushing her into the well. He then covers the well and builds a cabin over top of it. They open up the well, and Ryuji climbs down there. They use buckets to drain the water, and it takes many hours. It's almost time for Reiko's week to be up. Reiko and Ryuji switch positions, and soon she's down on the bottom of the well, all alone. Never where you want to be when your time is about up.
No, it's not.
She finds a slimy, decomposing skeleton down there.
And boy, is it a slimy one.
Oh yeah, it's a mess. Not pretty. The time limit of Reiko's 1 week comes and goes, and she doesn't die.
Yay!
They both go home, assuming that everything is over and fine. They've broken the curse.
Because the ghost is at rest, because they found the body.
That's the way it usually works.
Yeah.
Except Ryuji's TV comes on.
Except there's a lot of movie left.
And he watches Shizuku crawl out of the well and approach him. Then she crawls out of the TV and kills him. Reiko finds out what happens, and she just knows that little Yoichi is going to be next. What did she do that Ryuji didn't? She figures it out. She made a copy and showed it to Ryuji.
Uh-huh.
It's chain letter all over again.
Yeah, the worst kind.
So yeah, she showed the copy to Ryuji and passed the curse on to someone else. Now all she has to do is get Yoichi to spread the curse.
Ooh.
Make a copy of this tape or you will die. That's not good for sales, is it? That's a pirate copy thing.
It's just gonna, just gonna keep going and going.
Put it on YouTube.
Ooh. Get everybody at once.
No, YouTube isn't really making a copy
it's
of it.
not
I guess you'd
making
have
a
to put it
copy.
on like a pirate site or something, where people actually make copies.
I don't know. Would digital copies count? For the modern age, or would it have to still be a physical?
1998, this wasn't a big question.
There wasn't a thing back then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well, it's definitely got creepy bits to it, but I also suspect a lot got lost in the translation and subtitles. It was a little hard to follow and understand all the bits about Shizuko and Sadako and Dr. Ikuma. And I'm still not quite sure who Dr. Ikuma actually was. Even after watching, I'm not sure if Dr. Ikuma was Shizuku's father, and if he or they was the old man we saw so much of in the middle of the film.
I think it's kind of left for the viewer to decide.
For us, with the subtitles, it was certainly not clear.
Certainly not clear.
It may have been clearly explained in the movie.
If you knew the language. Yeah. Uh-huh.
I suspect this was the case, but this is the peril of watching a subtitled film. And I can see why it was popular. It definitely deserved the English remake a few years later.
Mm-hmm.
But the remake added a few things and refined others, but the main plot is the same to both films. Did you like it?
I did. Yeah. Overall, I
You like it as much as the other one?
No, I liked The Ring better.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because of the language or just better?
Just better, I think.
I think so too, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, subtitles makes everything just a hair more challenging.
Yeah.
But I think the English one was just better.
Yeah. And I was reading some trivia here. The Ringu is more, the translation is more referring to the cyclical nature of the curse, where the ring, like the American version, we know what the ring is, was her looking up and
the visual ring.
Seeing the ring of light. So that was kind of a different, the meaning of Ringu versus the meaning of the ring.
Japanese is a little more metaphorical.
Yeah. And also something I learned too, there's Ringu 2, which is a sequel to this movie. But there's also another sequel to this movie called Raisin, R-A-S-E-N, 1998. Because the original novel was more science fiction-y than horror. It had some elements of horror. And this other sequel is more like a sequel to the novel with more science fiction and less horror. So that's one we should probably check out too.
Yeah. I was expecting to watch Ringu 2 and Ring 2 eventually, but I didn't know about that other one.
Ringu 2 is more of a sequel to the movie, and Raisin is more of a sequel to the novel.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Very interesting. So then we've got the newer one, called The Ring from 2002, directed by Gore Verbinski, written by Aaron Kruger, Koji Suzuki, and Hiroshi Takahashi. Stars Naomi Watts, Martin Henderson, Brian Cox, hour and 55 minutes. And it starts out with a couple girls watching TV late at night. They watch the tape. One's, oh, it happened already. And then they die. And, oh, I got to go to the bathroom. And, oh, they died. Ring, fan, phone, and all. Okay, it's the same as the first movie.
Very similar up to a point.
Okay, so Rachel calls her friend Noah over to take her picture. And it's blurry, too. And he watches the tape and doesn't believe any of it. And Rachel starts seeing things from the tape in normal life, such as the long ladder.
Noah is more than her friend. That's her ex.
Oh, it is, yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure.
Dad. Just like the original.
Was the original that?
Yeah, he was the father of the kid.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was not clear either.
It was clearer here, I think.
Oh, yeah. It was explicitly said here.
Yeah.
And it may have been in Japan, too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But basically, yeah, very, very removed from fatherhood.
Up till now.
Yes, it's very similar to the original
pretty much
Japanese
identical.
film. Yeah, but that's where it starts to diverge. Rachel does more research and finds a lighthouse hidden in the footage, and she tracks it down to an island, finds the woman in the video in a historical photo of the lighthouse. She is Anna Morgan. Now, Anna raised horses, and there was an incident where a bunch of the horses died under mysterious circumstances, and she may have jumped off a cliff. The horses, I guess, basically drowned themselves. They all collectively, ran off into the ocean, which horses don't normally do. Yeah. Well, Noah goes to the store because he's watched the video, and he sees that his face is distorted in the security camera video.
Which this is a live thing.
Yeah, it's a live
photo.
Live feed. Yeah, it's blurry. Yeah. Well, that night, Rachel pukes up a braided string of wire with an electrode on the end.
Which is just kind of gross.
It's just a dream. But she has a mark on her arm when she wakes up, and she finds that Aiden has watched the tape. Just like the Japanese version, she left it laying around, and the curious kid watched it.
Yep.
So she's got a countdown, and now her kid has the countdown going too. So what's she going to do? Well, Rachel goes to the island where Anna Morgan lived, while Noah does research at the mental hospital where Anna stayed for a while. On the ferry to the island, a horse goes crazy and jumps overboard.
Horses just don't like this story.
Horses and this atmosphere, this psychic energy, whatever, don't mix. Yeah. She asks, she meets Mr. Morgan, and he was the keeper of the horse place. And he says he gave up on horses completely after that happened. She asks him about the tape, and he asks her to leave. He gets he just shuts down.
He's not happy.
Big time, yeah. She mentions his daughter, and he gets positively mean. This is Anna Morgan, Mr. Morgan. Noah finds records that there was a daughter named Samara. Anna Morgan was his wife, right?
Right.
Yeah.
The old man, Mr. Morgan, and Anna was his wife, and Samara was the secret daughter.
A daughter, but he denies that there was a daughter.
Yeah.
Noah finds, there was. Yeah. So the Morgan's doctor talks to Rachel, and she explains that Samara somehow caused Anna to get weird visions. And the doctor recommended a psychiatric hospital on the mainland. She says, ever since that girl's been gone, things have gotten better.
Mm-hmm. I've known kids like that.
Well, this one was especially, trouble. Yeah. Yeah. Well, Rachel goes back to the Morgan Ranch that evening and finds a videotape of Samara in the mental hospital. She just kind of goes in Morgan's place. He's out. She starts snooping around, finds this tape. Samara thinks her daddy wants her to go away. Well, Morgan goes into the bathroom, which is flooded with water, and electrocutes himself excessively. Excessively, yeah. Noah arrives, and the two of them find Samara's prison in the barn where they kept her locked up. So this girl was trouble, and
everybody knew it.
Yeah. They both get back to the cabin where it all started, and Rachel explains that her time is nearly up. They spill marbles on the floor. They all roll into a puddle in one section. So the two of them tear up the floor and find a well beneath it. An unfortunate series of events leads to Rachel falling into the well. But it's not bottomless. It only seems that way.
It looked that way.
Well, Samara's hand comes up out of the water, giving Rachel a vision of everything that happened. Anna was the one who killed Samara, not Mr. Morgan. The last thing she saw was the stone being pushed over the top of the well, creating the ring of light. And that's where the ring comes from. Yeah. And apparently she lived some time trying to claw her way up and out.
His fingernails embedded in the wall.
And when you see the ghost later, you see her come, you notice that she has no fingernails because, the ghost has lost them. Yeah. Well, Noah comes back and explains that it's past sunset, so Rachel's 1 week is over and passed. She's
Yay!
safe now. Like the Japanese one, they found the body, and she's at rest now. Well, except there's a whole lot of movie left again. So, the next morning, Aiden asked about the girl, and Rachel explains that they set her free. Aiden, this is the kid, looks shocked. You helped her? Aiden explains that Rachel shouldn't have done that. She never sleeps, he adds. Well, Noah is working late when his TV switches on, and stuff happens, and Noah gets it. Yeah. Very creepily. That's a very creepy scene. That was really well done.
We don't actually see him die at that point.
No, we
get that
don't.
later in a flashback.
Yeah, just checking the notes here. I lost my place. Well, Rachel throws a tantrum and burns her copy of the tape and realizes, wait, she made a copy. And where did that copy of the video go? Oh, yeah. Well, she shows Aiden how to make a copy. It's going to keep going, isn't it? It'll never stop, Aiden asks. What happens to the person we show it to? What happens to them? Well,
there's a sequel.
Yeah, it just keeps going.
All right, well, the entire film is tinted in a sickly green color, something I hadn't really noticed on previous viewings. And if you've heard me rant in the past, it's about these colored movies. Wonder Woman. I still go on about Wonder Woman. The first Wonder Woman was a major financial success. And yet, once they get off that island, everything is gray. Mm-hmm. It's like watching it through World
War color.
Yeah, they didn't have color back in World War I days. It was all gray.
It was more muted. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this one's green. And it's really annoying once you notice it. It's not exactly a shot-for-shot remake of the first film. Most scenes early in the film do match up between this and the original, at least a little. But it diverges quite a lot in the middle of the film. The stuff with the horses was all new, and the story with the Morgans and Samara and all that is much more explained here than it was in the original. Rachel visiting the ranch where the various things from the tape could be found was also new. You see things like the mirror and certain rooms and ladders and stuff, and that all appears in the tape, and it appears on the island. So clearly the tape was made there.
Mm-hmm.
The crawling out of the TV scene was much better done here than in the original. Samara keeps the flickery TV effect even once she gets out of the TV, which was kind of neat. Overall, the production values are much higher in this remake, and the story is much more clearly explained, although there are still many unanswered questions. I'm sure these will all be resolved in the various sequels. Was there a Ring 3?
I don't believe so.
Okay. We'll find out.
We'll
find out for you later. We know there's a second one of both movies.
Ring 3? No.
They knew when to stop.
There is a Ring 3. Oh. Whoops. Ring 3 movie. Rings. That's right. I forgot about that.
Yes,
2017. I knew that. We knew that. Okay, we got a third one to watch then.
Oh, boy. All right, and then this week, as usual, we watched a short film.
An exceptionally good short film.
Nightcrawl, 2021.
I especially liked this one.
I like this one, too. Yeah, and this one's on YouTube. You can watch it. Just follow the link in the show notes. It's 8 minutes and 11 seconds. Directed by Gregory Schultz. Stars Diego Garcia, Joel Darden, and Leona Reeves. And again, it's just a little over 8 minutes on YouTube. You watch it right now if you want. So 2 men share a prison cell and are digging a tunnel. The man digging in the tunnel finds something. Then he opens up the tunnel to a room on the other side. It's really dark in there.
Apparently, it was the cave in The Descent, is what it made me think of.
Starts out Shawshank Redemption, ends with The Descent. Yes. Yeah. What if?
Yeah. Have some little crossover here.
Yeah. So we see a skull on the other side and something moving, and then, oh crap.
Stuff happens.
Yeah, stuff happens. All right, well, it's good. The prison set is obviously a real prison somewhere, and the tunnel is very claustrophobic and realistic. It's dark, it's cramped and tight.
And they had a really
yet
clever...
you can see it, though.
A really clever system for digging, too, though.
I thought so. That thing with the rope and the pans.
Yeah.
It's exactly what you do. But
Yeah.
But the story itself is pretty basic, but you know all you need to, so nothing's really left out. And just hypothetically, if there were a creature in this film...
It'd be really good-looking creature.
It'd be really cool one, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so that is called Nightcrawl from 2021. And we both liked it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did.
All right, which takes us to Bad Moon from 1996. And this is another one where I would have told you I'd seen it at one point, but didn't remember any of it. Maybe I didn't see it.
I had not seen this one previously.
Directed by Eric Red. Written by Wayne Smith and Eric Red. Stars Mariel Hemingway, Michael Paré, Mason Gamble. Hour and 20 minutes. What'd you think?
It was okay.
Yeah, I'll go with that one.
Yeah. I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. I was entertained. But it was kind of middle of the road, I thought.
It's a very standard, very basic werewolf story that has a different kind of point of view to it, which makes it kind of interesting.
Yeah, that did.
Really, if you just took an outline of the plot, there ain't nothing here. It's a werewolf story.
And the original, the novel it's based off of is...
that sounds even better.
Yeah, it's... Well, we can spoil this, can't we?
Yeah.
At this point,
yeah.
The source novel is just called Thor, which is the dog's name.
Yeah, there's a family that lives in the woods, and they've got a dog named Thor.
Yeah, and the novel is from his point of view. Now, they do that a little bit in the movie. They played it down quite a lot, but I guess the novel is strictly from his point of view and how he's dealing with it. As, the family is part of his pack, and he's supposed to protect them, and yet one of them has become a werewolf, and how does he handle this? Is it an enemy or still a friend? Or,
Yes. So in the film, it's the dog is not the main character, really, but he's the only one that really knows what's going on.
Yeah, he's featured more than dogs usually are in the movies.
Yeah. Does the dog die in the end?
Not telling.
Yeah, we are. No, he doesn't.
Oh, okay.
Nobody wants to watch the dog die in the end.
No.
The dog survives.
The dog is the hero.
Yeah. All right. Well, he doesn't come out unscathed.
No.
All right, so a couple are on a jungle safari, and they decide to have sex in their tent, as one does. Meanwhile, something outside is spooking the horses and the natives. Must be Samara spooking the horses again.
Yeah.
Nope, it's a werewolf who claws the man and rips the girl to pieces. The man then blows its head off with a shotgun as credits roll.
No silver bullet required.
Nope, just shoot it. All right, so back in civilization, Brett plays catch with his dog Thor, but Thor is kind of a dumb dog and won't bring the ball back. Thor does, however, attack a traveling salesman.
Well, he goaded Thor into it.
He had it coming.
Yeah.
Mother Janet is a lawyer, and she's not intimidated by the salesman's threats to sue. He's just a flopsy, a kind of con man who does this for a living.
Yeah, Thor didn't really hurt him, but he was playing up. Like, oh, he cut me, he bit me, I'm bleeding.
Yeah, like those guys who fall in front of the cars.
Yeah.
Have you heard the term flopsy before?
I had not, no.
Is that a move just from the movie, or is that a real thing?
It is a real thing, but I had never heard that before.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he's kind of a con man. When he still threatens to sue, she promises to call her friend the sheriff. We see that she's tough and intimidating, and the guy slinks off with his own tail sort of between his legs. So, yeah. Single mother, but she's a toughie.
Yep, she is.
That night, a forest ranger is out measuring trees in the dark. Why? Well, why was he doing that at night?
Because plot device.
Okay.
That way he can be a victim.
And he hears something growling nearby. The growling gets closer, and the ranger runs for it. And of course, the werewolf bites right through his helmet. Uncle Ted calls Janet and arranges a visit since he's back from his safari adventure. They go up to visit Ted's trailer in the wilderness, and Thor immediately catches a strange scent in the woods. Brett finds that Uncle Ted has a bunch of scientific equipment in his trailer, including a book on werewolves. Meanwhile, Thor finds what's left of the ranger hanging in a tree. Thor isn't quite sure what to make of Uncle Ted. He senses something strange, but it's only Ted, right? It starts getting late, and Brett, Janet, and Thor go back home. The next day, Ted calls and wants to come visit them. He doesn't explain it, but there are police everywhere after the ranger's body has been discovered. That night, Janet hears Thor barking like crazy at the back door just after the full moon comes up. Thor watches as the werewolf struggles, handcuffed to a tree. The two have a staring contest before Thor gets called back home. These two are not going to be friends. Janet hears that a fifth hiker has been found in the timberline area. They say some kind of wild animal is attacking these hikers. Ted laughs at the film Werewolf of London, which we see on TV, since werewolves don't only turn at the full moon. Wolves aren't like in the movies, he explains.
How would he know this, we wonder?
Yeah, we know.
Yeah, we know.
Ted warns Janet not to let Brett play in the woods for a while. That thing is out there. Thor shouldn't be allowed out there either after dark, and Janet thinks Ted is overreacting. The following night, Ted leaves the trailer to go chain himself to another tree, but Thor slows him down until Janet calls him in. Ted doesn't have time to get to the tree, so he changes. Thor then fights the monster off in the backyard, but nobody else sees what happened. Thor gets a cut, but Janet calls in the sheriff to report the animal that hurt him. Janet goes out to the trailer to warn Ted about the animal, and she finds his collection of werewolf victim photos. Why does he have pictures of the dead people?
Why, the same reason he has a journal detailing everything.
Which she reads.
Yeah.
She reads his diary as the werewolf approaches the trailer from the outside. The werewolf is about to kill her, when just then, Flopsy the con man sneaks up to the house to take his revenge on Thor. But Thor isn't the dog that he finds.
Nope. Bad ending for him.
The sheriff thinks Thor fought Flopsy and killed him. You know, no German Shepherd is going to do that kind of damage.
No.
Thor also has injuries that might make that true, but Janet knows Ted's secret now because she read the diary. Thor attacks Ted, and she calls animal control to take him away. Why? She knows Ted's secret. Why would she call animal control?
Why
after
would
he
she?
attacks the dog?
Yeah, I could see the sheriff, insisting.
The sheriff didn't do it. She did it.
Yeah, that part didn't make sense to me.
No, it didn't.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't clear in the beginning whether Ted was a regretful, scared curse victim, or if he enjoyed what he'd become.
But it later becomes
apparent. Real clear
from he's into it.
Yeah, he's evil.
Yeah.
He goes out and pees in Thor's doghouse.
Yeah, that was a nice touch. Marking territory. Yeah.
That night, Brett sneaks out to jailbreak Thor from the dog pound. Ted goes out for a run, and Janet follows him with a flashlight and a pistol. Nope, she puts the pistol back on the shelf and goes after him unarmed, as one does with werewolves. Known werewolves.
Well, it's her brother. She still cares for him and, is reluctant to outright kill him.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
You don't have to shoot him to take the gun with you.
Yeah.
You could take it just in case.
You could take it, yeah, but she doesn't.
Well, Janet catches Ted at an awkward moment, and "You should have listened to the dog, Janet," he growls. Then he changes right in front of her in one of the cringiest, worst transformation scenes on film.
Yeah, and there's a note here in the trivia that I read about the director wasn't sure about that, and he was lambasted by fans over the years. There is a director's cut that has cut that transformation.
They didn't fix it, they removed it?
They removed it, yeah.
I don't know that would be better. Yeah. It's better to see bad than not see it at all.
Yeah, I guess it's just cut.
Yeah, well, this was from 1996, and I think they were trying to do some CGI there, but it also kind of looked like mirrors and fiddling with the film itself.
It was a morphing kind of thing, and
really
like half of him changed, and then the other half caught up, and yeah, it was just weird and ineffective.
It was an interesting idea that looked really bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a failed experiment there for sure.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, Janet runs from the werewolf as Brett breaks Thor out from the dog pound. Thor goes running. Ted goes running. Janet goes running. Brett's little, so he gets a bicycle. Janet runs home, where this time she gets the gun for real. Just as the wolf is about to do something bad to Janet, Thor jumps in and attacks the Ted wolf. They do battle, but Ted outclasses Thor by about triple weight, so Janet finally ends up shooting the Ted wolf repeatedly. In what should be a final desperate act of self-sacrifice, Thor jumps on the Ted wolf, and they both fall out the second-story window and limp into the woods as the sun comes up. Ted turns back into a ripped-up, bloody human, and Thor finishes the job.
We meet again, human, except now the advantage is mine.
Yeah, usually werewolves turn, their wounds and stuff heal fast.
His did not. It's that lore thing. He said the lore isn't like you think it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of them. He didn't heal fast.
Time passes, and we see that Janet has a nightmare about Thor turning into a super wolf. But that's just a dream,
just
right?
A final dream, right?
Right. Well, there are numerous shots from the point of view of the dog, and apparently the book it was based on was entirely from the point of the view of Thor.
Mm-hmm.
It's obvious here that the only one who really knows what's going on is Thor. And the werewolf looks very animatronic in several scenes.
It was, yeah.
I'm not going to... Maybe a really bad puppet, but it looked more like, a werewolf head on a stick.
It might have been what it was.
Yeah.
It was very animatronic. Yeah.
It was not a guy in a suit. It was not a puppet. It was something else.
Mm-hmm. Robotic.
Not CGI,
Yeah.
It didn't look lifelike at all. The actual transformation scene has some kind of lensing, morphing effect that may or may not have been early CGI, but it sucked painfully, whatever it was. Overall, it's an unusual take on a fairly standard werewolf story, and the dog's point of view does make it all somewhat interesting. I give it a 4.
Well, I give it a 5.
I don't want to see it again.
5.5.
I don't regret it terribly.
I give it just above the midline.
Okay.
Yeah.
And speaking of just above the midline, we have The House of Long Shadows from 1983. Directed by Pete Walker. Written by Michael Armstrong, Earl Durr Biggers, and George Cohen. Stars Vincent Price, Christopher Lee, Peter Cushing, and John Carradine. 1 hour, 40 minutes. Now, with that cast list, how can this not get 10 stars?
How can this not be phenomenal?
Well, part of it's because Desi Arnaz Jr. was in it, who could not act if his life depended on it.
Well, he did drag it down a little bit.
But the story didn't help. I'm going to give this one... Okay. If these were generic actors, people you'd never heard of before, I would give this a solid 4.
But...
the cast turns it into a 7.
Yeah.
Even this cast could
elevates it.
Help it a lot.
Yeah.
Where are you stand on this one?
Same as you.
Yeah.
You didn't also mention Sheila Keith, who was one of the family.
Uh-huh.
Who's not the icon that the guys were.
I don't know that name even.
Oh, yeah. She's, well known.
Horror icon or other kind?
Somewhat horror and more British stuff that she's done. But,
okay.
But definitely a big actress. Big name and lots of stuff.
Aye.
Yeah. Not the name recognition with horror of the guys, but, definitely she's a contender, too. She was one of the family.
Okay. Well, you got 4 major horror icons in here and a very mediocre story is basically the summary of it.
Yeah.
I'm thinking they all needed a paycheck.
And they got one.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was cool seeing them all together like that.
Yeah. They could have done so much better, though.
Yeah.
Well, Kenneth McGee's plane lands, and his agent isn't pleased with his book sales. His new book, The Lie, is having a book signing very soon. McGee bets his agent $20,000 that he could knock off a gothic novel to rival at least as good as Wuthering Heights in 24 hours. All he needs is an old manor house to inspire him. Mr. Allison knows just the place. It's been abandoned for 40 years. And the name of the place is Baldpate Manor.
Perfect place for a book.
And I think the original novel that this was based on was called Baldpate Manor.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I think so.
Knocking out a horror novel in 24 hours.
Easy peasy.
Easy peasy, yeah. Well, McGee drives out there the next day. Naturally, by the time he arrives, it's a dark and stormy night. He stops at a train station and is warned not to go there. Herbinger. He arrives, and it's a big old empty house with all the furniture covered in sheets, just as expected. He lights a candle, sets up his typewriter, and gets right to work. 2 lines into writing, he decides to get up and explore. Yeah, that's the way I write.
Yeah. Only it's Facebook or Reddit.
Then he runs into Lord Elijah and Victoria Grisbane, the caretakers, who want to know what he's doing there. He runs into Mary Norton, who comes in wearing a Halloween mask for no apparent reason other than a jump scare. She warns that McGee is in terrible danger and needs to leave immediately. She tells him some nonsense about a terrorist organization, but doesn't really explain anything. She appears to be working for Mr. Allison, who wanted her to sabotage the bet. Allison mentions that there are no caretakers at that house.
But, yeah, there are.
Elijah and Victoria storm in and order her to leave the house immediately. She warns McGee about the old couple, but he doesn't really care. They're so old they must be harmless.
Yeah.
Mary goes back downstairs to leave and runs into Sebastian Grisbane, who let himself in the front door. McGee goes downstairs to encounter the old trio, and Sebastian says he's been in Africa for the past 40 years, so he's a bit out of touch.
Just a bit.
The door opens, and Lionel Grisbane comes in. "I have returned," he announces.
Okay.
"Please don't interrupt me while I'm soliloquizing," he says. And he does. He gives this long speech. "This was once my home until the dust claimed it," he states. Now there are 4 Grisbanes in the house. McGee and Mary find paintings of all the characters we've met so far, and they're all dated from 1935, over 45 years ago. 1 painting is missing. They run into Mr. Corrigan later. He says he's about to purchase the property and saw the lights on. The Grisbanes explain that they've all arrived here as a sort of family reunion. They've owned this house for 300 years. And some of them look old enough to be the original.
Mm-hmm.
Corrigan explains that he plans to tear the place down. This is the first time the family has been together since they were forced apart so long ago. They all agree to sit for dinner, and now the party can really begin. The family wants McGee, Mary, and Corrigan to leave before midnight. It seems Roderick, one of the family, is still alive upstairs in a locked room. Corrigan storms up to see what that's about. Has there been a prisoner locked in this house for 40 years? Roderick is supposed to be a thing of evil, but they were planning to release him at midnight. Corrigan goes into the room and finds a secret passage. He's gotten outside.
Uh-oh.
Suddenly, a dead body falls from the rafters. Elijah keels over with a heart attack and dies from fright. Corrigan goes out to his car to get the police and find that the tires have been slashed, and then he finds a pair of hikers out there. They were attacked by an inhuman maniac just outside. McGee's and Mary's cars have 4 flat tires as well. They find Victoria's dead body strangled with piano wire. And then there were fewer.
It's like a 10 Little Indians kind of situation going on here.
Diana, one of the hikers, washes her face in acid and dies. All right. Andrew, her husband, drinks poison immediately after.
Not on purpose. Neither of them on purpose, no.
2 others go exploring in a secret passage, and when the candle blows out, someone hangs Sebastian in the dark. "Destiny and retribution are often related, aren't they, brother?" says Corrigan to Lionel. Corrigan admits it. He's really Roderick Grisbane. He waited 40 years for his revenge. Corrigan insists that it was Lionel who raped and murdered that girl all those years ago, and that Roderick had always been innocent. Corrigan hacks Lionel up with an axe as Mary watches and screams.
Oof.
Corrigan/Roderick strangles McGee and then chases Mary with an axe, but McGee, who is faking being dead, throws him down the stairs to his death. Then, all the dead bodies get back up, and it's clear that everything was fake. Everything. Mary smiles. This was all a distraction to keep McGee from writing his novel. Mr. Allison laughs maniacally. Later, all the actors get together and compliment each other on their careers and drink champagne. Nope, whoa. Actually,
Wait,
no.
What? No.
We pull back and see that this has all been McGee's novel that he has written alone in the house all along as the sun rises.
It's a story within a story.
He collects from Allison and meets Mary, Allison's secretary, so maybe he can be happy after all. It's love at first sight, the end. All right.
You remember the series Automan? That was about the same time as this.
He was in that.
Yeah, Desi Arnaz Jr. Yeah.
What was the deal there? He turned into a car? Or he had a special car?
No, he created a artificial being, kind of a Tron kind of being that...
No cars, okay,
yeah,
yes.
Through computers, and this being would manifest, Automan, he'd manifest in the real world.
You said Tron. I think this was...
He was very Tron-like. Well, he looked very Tron-like. His body, he had a normal-looking head, and his body was all Tron-like.
Cashing in on the Tron.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Definitely were, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. The whole moral that McGee learns as he writes his book is that characters matter more than plot, but that's not actually something that comes through in the film. All the characters are really one-dimensional and generic stereotypes. The film is based on a stage play, and you can tell. There's only a few rooms and a lot of talking. The murders almost all happen off-screen, and we're only told how terrible Roderick was. Apparently, Desi Arnaz Jr. had no idea how to deliver lines, as it sounds like he was just reading the script through the first few scenes, and barely improved later on.
And yet he had a lot of stuff he'd done before this.
Well, you might almost blame his relatives for, coasting on the coattails there a little bit.
I don't know what happened there, yeah.
But my parents are famous, give me a job.
Yeah, maybe there was some of that.
Or maybe the parents who owned the studio said, hey, hire this guy to do this.
Yeah, we know somebody who can have this role.
Yeah, talent was not the big thing there. The plot is really basic, the sets are pretty generic, and the story overall is mediocre at best. The only thing this film has going for it is the casting. The 4 horror icons that appear here are all old, and some of them are really starting to show it, but none of them have lost their touch. Actually, in the trivia, there's one scene where they're all sitting at the dinner table, and apparently the actor, John Carradine, went to sleep during the scene.
Oh, yeah, because it was downtime, and
they went
he was
on
bored
and continued the scene with him sitting there asleep.
They didn't bother waking him up. Yeah, they just kept on going.
He didn't have any lines, so they just let him sleep.
There was nothing for him to do, and he dozed off, and then they said, we'll just go ahead.
Yeah. So, of course, Christopher Lee still had 35 more years left in his career, but Price, Cushing, and Carradine had less than a decade left. Still, you kind of get the impression that the film company was hoping that they could cash in on being someone's final film, but they didn't get so lucky. Everybody survived to do more films after this, even Carradine.
And Desi Arnaz, the last role that he did was 1992, where he played his dad. He played Desi Arnaz Sr. He hasn't done anything since 92.
Okay.
No.
The world is a sadder place for it. Okay, not really.
Yeah.
All right, so Ringu is a solid 6 out of 10 for me.
I think the best in show for me was the short this week.
Okay.
Nightcrawler, definitely.
The Ring I liked a lot. I'd give that a solid 8 or 9. It was really good.
Nightcrawler I'd give a 10. I liked it that much.
Nightcrawl was good, yeah.
Nightcrawl, yes.
Bad Moon, like I said, was
about a 6.
Yeah, very middle of the road.
Yeah.
And House of Long Shadows was
about a 6.
A good attempt at a bad film. Yeah.
But if you want to see the coolness of seeing them all together, that's definitely its best feature.
Nightcrawl, the short, and The Ring are my 2 recommendations. The other 3, if you want to.
Yeah, basically.
All right, and that is our show for this week. Go to horrorguys.com to read the reviews for next week's shows and see what we're doing next time. Next time we're going to watch some new movies. 4 new movies.
4 new movies. What are we going to see?
Army of the Dead from 2021. This looks like an epic big one with a large cast.
Epic zombie movie.
Yeah. Queen of Black Magic from 2019.
An international movie.
Looks very creepy. Slaxx from 2021.
SLAXX.
Yes.
As in pants, but, more trendy.
But they're evil pants or something like that.
Yeah.
And one called My Heart Can't Beat Until You Tell It To from 2020. Sort of a weird vampire story, I take it.
That's the impression I get.
Yeah. All right, well, I'm Brian.
And I'm Kevin.
We'll see you next week.
See ya.